Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 122 of Circle of Fellows. I'm Shel Holtz, your moderator today, and I am the Senior Director of Communications at Webcor. We're a commercial general contractor in California, headquartered in San Francisco, and I'm coming to you live today from our offices across the bay in Alameda. And I am also a certified communication professional through the Global Communication Certification Council. And I am delighted to have a terrific panel joining me today to talk about preparing tomorrow's communication professionals. That includes some people from the world of academia. You'll learn who they are as they introduce themselves in just a couple of seconds. But first, I'm going to give you the first of a few reminders that you are welcome to participate in this discussion. You are watching this presumably through YouTube, and there is a chat feature. And if you send us a question or a comment or an observation through that chat window, I'll be able to share it on the screen, and we can get feedback from the panelists, who will now introduce themselves, starting with Letty.
Hi, everybody. I'm Leti Narvaez. I'm based in Mexico City, and I've been working on communication for more than 30 years. For the last 10 years, I have had my own consulting firm, specializing mainly on employee communications, change management, crisis and risk management, and a lot of training on measurement and presentation skills. And it's great to be here.
It's great to have you here, Letty. Theo Mary, you're next.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here with us. I'm Theo Mary Karamanis. I'm based in Ithaca, New York. This is upstate New York. I work for Cornell University, and I teach MBA and executive MBA students. And I'm also very much involved with executive education. So I get to see a lot of executives and leaders across industries and professions. I've been in communication for more than, I don't want to say, but I will, 25 years now. And I started after my PhD. I started in corporate communication. So I had a corporate life. Then I went into consulting. I had my own boutique firm. And for the past 10, maybe now close to 15 years, I've been full-time in academia. I've been in contact. I always have contact with executives through my executive education courses and also through my MBA courses. And I'm looking forward to sharing with you some insights about communication professionals and what communication will mean to us in the future. And thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, thanks for being here. Diane, you're up.
Hi, I'm Diane Gajewski, and I am on the other hill from Theo Mary, also in Ithaca, New York. I'm a professor of strategic communication at Ithaca College, which is also my alma mater, and I'll embarrass myself and say I've been there for 47 years. In addition to teaching, I practice what I preach through my consulting firm, Gajewski Analytics. I mostly focus on new technologies and trends in both corporate communication and corporate learning. And I teach almost exclusively undergraduates, and they are very worried about the topic that we're talking about today. So I look forward to the conversation.
It'll be a good one. Sue.
Hi, everybody. Sue Human from Edmonton, Canada. I have been in communication for 44 years. And through the course of my time, I have actually been an instructor with MacEwan University, and I have worked with other academic programs as a guest lecturer. But I think I'm hoping to bring the perspective today of somebody who's done a lot of hiring over the years and have seen a lot of different folks come through the door for our small agency, which is Focus Communications in Edmonton. So yeah, happy to be here and happy to be here with this great group of very impressive women. So thank you.
Thank you. Jen, you're last, but not least.
Excellent. Hello from Vancouver, Canada, just over the hill, as it were, from Sue in Edmonton. and happy American Thanksgiving to those who'll be celebrating in the next day or so. I teach as an adjunct professor at the UBC Sauder School of Business. So I teach business communications to first and third year students, which is something I've been doing for the last 4 or 5 years. I absolutely am enchanted by it and by the students, and love being in the classroom with them. And it, I think, only makes me stronger as a professional in my consulting business as a storytelling consultant for organizations. Really looking forward to the conversation today, and echo what I've even heard so far in terms of what the next generation of entering the workforce are worried about, and how we all just need to keep learning.
I've been doing some rough math as we've gone around. At my 48 years in the profession, I was a newspaper reporter for a few years before that, and I think we have well over 200 years of experience on this panel, so you should get some good wisdom out of
We
this.
don't look a day over 199. So
That's true. It's good genes is what it is. So let's jump into this, and I want to share a quick story. Several years ago, I was invited to come speak to the faculty at San Jose State University by the dean of the journalism department. That was Bill Briggs, who is an IABC fellow. And one of the questions I was asked really struck me. They said, "What aren't we teaching that we should be?" And I thought about it a minute, and this was in the heyday of blogging. The big social networks didn't exist yet. Facebook and LinkedIn and the like were not around. But blogging was getting really big. And your newspapers were starting to close in some frightening numbers. And I said, I think what you need to be teaching is entrepreneurialism. When I went to journalism school, they taught us to work for a newspaper, a news magazine, a news broadcast outlet, or a news radio station, and that was it. And I think today, journalists are going to have to reinvent themselves. I mean, look at the number of them that are doing podcasts, like Jim Acosta, who used to be with CNN. They're doing Substack newsletters. For communicators, let me ask, what aren't universities with communication programs teaching that they should be?
I can start if you want. I'm in a business school, and of course, I don't have communication students, but I have the future business leaders, and we teach them communication skills, and I'm really very happy about it. But I think what we do not teach, and we need to start teaching, and I don't know how, is agility, adaptability, and the capacity to take things as they come and be able to confront the challenges and have grace under fire, being calm under stressful situations. So I think that a lot of the preparation that we do is based on the assumption that you know what's coming, and therefore you do the steps and ABC and the stakeholder analyses and all of that. But I don't think we teach them necessarily how to be resilient and be adaptable when things change.
And I could add also that I think it could be very important. We speak a lot about being strategic, but I don't think that universities really insist on this, on how to be really strategic, how to participate and to design strategic plans, and to get to know the business much better, so that we really can advise on what kind of communication strategies we should use, how to emphasize the human connection, and to understand and listen to the needs of our audience, so we can respond with our communication according to our audience needs. And another thing is measurement and evaluation of the communication. I think that very few universities really teach the different techniques and the benefits of really measuring the communication and what we are doing in our communication plans.
Good point, Letty. I was going to add to what you said, Theo Mary. Sorry, Diane. And just build on that in terms of the agility and the resilience. I would say, like I kind of joked in my intro about, that all of us need to keep learning, but I think there is a critical need to bring that beginner brain along with us, especially for the next generation entering the workforce. They will need to learn and relearn skills and strategies and approaches within different contexts at a much faster speed than previous generations. And so I agree. I don't quite know how to teach that either, that ability to pivot, that ability to re-embrace and turn a corner and re-engage in a whole new way on a regular basis, not just a couple of times over a career. So sorry, Diane, back over to you.
Great points. I'd like to build on what everybody has said. I think, and I do teach communication students, and what I think we could do a better job of is teaching them business acumen and financial analysis, and being able to understand how businesses and nonprofits really work. I find that my students often avoid that. As I talk to them, they don't understand how the stock market works. They really have not much sophistication in terms of understanding how businesses really get along. And to build upon the point of assessment, I think is a really important one. That what I find is, because students don't really understand how businesses make money and they don't know how to read financial reports, they will often come in with, very proud of some kind of ROI, thinking that they've done a great job because they've saved the company $1,000, or they increase sales by, a couple of dollars. And they don't understand that in the large scheme of things, that is quite literally lunch money. So I think we could do a better job collaborating across communication schools and business schools.
Can I just second that? Because what you're describing is exactly the opposite of what's happening in business schools. So my students know everything about budgeting, everything about accounting, and they're just focused on that, but they don't necessarily understand the value of stakeholder analysis, audience analysis, how to communicate to different people. So I really think that your point, Diane, is very valuable. We need to just somehow find a way to merge these schools of thoughts and show students that there's value to both. Like, of course, they need to know the business side, but they also need to know the communication side.
I'm not sure how much I can add to this, except I would say, as someone who's hired a lot of new graduates, we've always had entry-level positions in our firm. The thing that I would like to see schools teach them is how to better value every voice. You don't know everything when you graduate. You certainly have learned a lot and you've gained a lot of skills, but there's wisdom everywhere. And so how do we invite conversation? How do we invite people to accept constructive feedback and criticism? I feel sometimes, especially young employees, they get offended easily if someone corrects their work. And I feel like they just need to be better at understanding that they don't know everything. They may have learned a lot, but it's a big world. I learn something new every day. So I feel like if we could get them to just be open to hearing other voices, that would go a long way to develop their soft skills around the boardroom table when they eventually get there.
Yeah, Diane, my favorite ROI assertions by young communicators is when they come in and tell me the ROI was something that has absolutely nothing to do with money. We grew our readership. That's not ROI. ROI is always money, always expressed as a percentage. It's a formula. It's not negotiable. But Sue, you mentioned entry level positions. One of the things that I'm hearing a lot about the threat to employment that AI is potentially going to bring us is that if it takes away a lot of the drudge work, well, that's what a lot of entry-level positions are all about. So what do we do with entry-level positions in order to get people started on their careers in the right direction, doing work that matters, but is still entry-level? It's not raising unrealistic expectations about what somebody brand new to the field might be able to do.
Yeah, so what we've done is we've really brought our entry-level staff in to things like client meetings and leadership meetings, so that they can understand the business of the business. Not so much the financial statements necessarily, but we're a small agency, so there's how do you get new clients? What do you do with them? What's the process? So we're trying to teach them skills that they can then they will be the front end part of that, of course, but then eventually they will start to manage projects on their own. And having had the experience of being in the room when the big meetings are held, being in the room when decisions are made, they can see the debate, they can see different points of view, and it really helps to round them out. So I feel like that's probably something that more organizations can do. Do not put your new employee in a room by themselves and say, okay, here you go. They need interaction, and they need role models. They need people to understand, how do I behave at work? What does a board meeting look like? Because this is all new experience for them. You can't just suddenly be thrown into a board meeting and expected to swim. You're probably going to sink if you haven't had that exposure. So I really encourage people, if you've got an entry-level positions, is make sure you're teaming them up with mid-level or senior level people, so that they can shadow you to important meetings and see how the assignments are managed, and how strategy works, and how to anticipate things. Like, that's critical thinking that they can learn by observing.
Yeah, that's a great point, Sue. I think we're running into almost like a triple threat of problems. We still have students coming off the COVID experience. The ones graduating now at least had a much more normal high school and college, but there was still a lot of disruption. Then many organizations are doing more hybrid and remote work. And as Shell pointed out, a lot of the entry-level jobs are this kind of, sort of routine grunt work, which people can say, oh, you don't need to come into the office. You can do that at home. And then we have, AI stepping in and doing a lot of those kind of tasks. So what are young employees going to be doing? So I know that our students are very worried about all of that. One of the things that I'm telling them is that I've got to kind of get them to the point where I was in my career 15 years in, and be much more adept at speaking to executives and understanding their language and holding their own, and actually being able to push back. What I'm doing a lot of is having consulting projects with my students. We, always gave them projects, but now I am trying to take on projects where clients will allow meetings to be on Zoom in front of my class. And I'll have the students watch me interact with a client, and we'll debrief afterwards. And I'm trying to model how to politely push back and understand that what a client or a project sponsor comes in asking may not be at all what they need. And, I think they need to learn how to do that in a convincing way, even though they are young. But the ability to be in the office and have mentors and have that sort of informal learning cannot be overemphasized.
If I may interject here, I'm so happy to hear you say all these things. I think that the industry needs to, and we as communication educators, we need to understand, in essence, there are no entry-level positions anymore, because that's AI. It's really, if you think about it, It's what we call an entry-level position is a sort of a mid-level position, because you require 3 years of experience, you require a master of analytics tools, the ability to manage stakeholders, and that's a lot to ask. So I would agree with both Diane and Sue that organizations, and this is not on the candidate, but this is on businesses, that they need to maybe rewrite job descriptions and focus on trainable capabilities. So like maybe curiosity, writing fundamentals, critical thinking, and learning mindset. So I love that Sue said, bring them in a meeting, show them how it's done. So shadowing, or I hear some businesses have these rotational programs where they go from one department to the next for training. So I think that this is where we are supposed to go as a society, not even as communication professionals.
Yeah, something else that I think would also would contribute to the entry level or just graduated is the experience of working in a company, in a big organization, and also the experience of working for a consultancy or an agency. Having worked myself, like for more than 20 years in different companies, you learn many things that you have not learned at the university, as the importance of interacting with the cross-functional situation to learn about the other areas of the company, to interact with all of them, so you can advise them on communication strategies and to support them to get to reach their objectives, and the importance of the human connection, not only the communication tools, but understanding, learning, listening, so you can respond to their own needs, the adaptability, and then being on meetings within the organization, so you can learn from other leaders. And also, if you work in an agency, then how to work with a client, how to respond to a client, how to contribute and advise. So both experiences, I think, are very important for someone who's just starting in the career.
Theo Mary, you mentioned AI, which it's inevitable that any panel is going to talk about AI these days. I am reading continuously on LinkedIn professors saying they don't allow AI in the classroom, they don't teach it. To me, that's insane, because as soon as they get to the workplace, they're going to be expected to know how to use it and apply it in their jobs. I'm wondering, for those of you who are teaching, what's your view, and how are you employing AI as part of your curriculum?
I'll start, since you mentioned my name. You're very right. There's a lot of talk and a lot of backlash in the academia about AI use, and I want to recognize that it's different for different courses. But I will tell you how I am managing this. I'm telling them to use it as much as they can. First of all, AI literacy is a skill that people need at the workplace. And I think my students need to be able to use it. I still tell them that they're responsible for accuracy of the final outcome, and they should have a unique perspective. So through the prompts, they need to give a perspective to the assignment or to the project that they're doing. And the other thing is that AI cannot replace the critical thinking of the human. And because I'm in communication, just like all of you, they need to be able to defend it. So they get an outcome. Okay, fine. It might be perfect. Can you come in front of me in person and justify it, defend it, explain it, and give me all kinds of aspects on the specific project? And I think, at least with my level of students, because they're a bit older, they're not undergraduates, I think they get it, and a lot of them are working towards that. So how do I use it so that it's very authentic? Because of course, authenticity is part of what leadership is nowadays. So if you come to me and you feel robotic, or you feel like you are AI generated, you do not promote trust. And that defeats the purpose of any organization or any leader. And people are still grappling with that. But I do feel that there's a need for us to incorporate AI into what we're doing and still find what is the differentiator between using AI. Everybody will use AI, but what makes you stand out as a leader? What will make you stand out is if you own it, if you have a unique perspective, and if you can present it with credibility, empathy, and confidence.
Just to build on the innovation factor, I recently had students doing a group project, and each group in my class had a different idea, groups of 4 or 5, and they were building that into a group presentation. And I had them. I also embrace AI in the classroom and in all the ways that you described, Theo Mary. Human input humans at the beginning and end of the process. But I had them ask AI to take their idea and expand on it in bold and innovative and new ways, and help them consider some ways, some different elevated ways of thinking. And they and frankly, their jaws dropped. These were third-year students because AI returned to them all like five or 6 or 8 different ideas in the classroom, and each group got very, very similar responses. And so we had this very robust discussion about originality and unique thinking. And so just to circle back to the last question about entry-level positions, or whatever we're calling them, I actually think that original thinking can be part of the learning process in workplaces, because although they're coming into the workplace with perhaps more mature skills than many of us did, they haven't necessarily caught up in other ways, especially some of the COVID impact young people. And so they may be, they may be looking for professional maturity and opportunities to grow in other ways that I think exploring critical and innovative thinking can really allow them to do. So, yeah. We need the AI fluency. I'm not sending my students out into the world without that.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing. I require my students to use it in different ways, and not just the large language models to, help them write things. I have them do at least prototypes using AI generated images and video. So for example, in an intro PR class, one of the assignments is to do a PSA, a video PSA. And they don't have time to go out and shoot it professionally. And a lot of them don't have those video skills, but I will have them mock something up on AI. I'll have them mock up things like posters or bus wraps. In some of my other classes, I will have them use AI as a thinking partner, as a brainstorming partner, to help them come up with clever titles for a white paper, for example. And then I also, as they're writing recommendations, I will have them ask AI, what's missing in this report? Or if I were to deliver this final report to clients, what might their questions or pushback be? Or how might different stakeholders react to these suggestions? I'm also building some simulations where AI will act as various stakeholders, and they can interview those stakeholders and get different kinds of interviews and feedback on an issue. So, but what's really interesting is students are all over the place. A lot of them really don't like AI. Some of them, because they don't know how to prompt it very well, get frustrated. They work with it and it doesn't give them anything that they find is usable. And so we need to work on that. But a lot of them are ethically very worried about AI. Some of it in terms of harvesting their ideas or other kinds of data or profiles about them, and the environmental impacts. Ithaca is a place where there's a lot of people very interested in the environment from way back, and our college attracts a lot of students who are very concerned about sustainability. And so we have a number of professors and students who really don't want to use AI because of what they feel are the significant climate impacts.
As an employer, I'll just pop in and say that we have our staff use AI not to draft things to final product or anything like that, but more for research purposes. I loved your examples, Diane, of some of the things that you've asked your students to do. We do the same, read this, tell me what's missing, just to prompt ideas. When you're staring at the proverbial blank page, give me 5 words that describe space, that kind of thing. We use it carefully at this time. We're still waiting to see, and I know, Shell, you can do a whole show on this. We're still waiting to see where it all shakes out in terms of, need for disclosure and all that stuff that's happening in the world. So, yeah, I mean, we do expect students to come with some AI fluency when they show up to work.
Yeah, we have a comment, and this is from Brian Kilgore. I think he means 2025 here, not 2015. But why don't PR students in 2025 have video production skills? Any thoughts on that? I mean, I'm doing video all the time, largely based on the trend of people paying attention to short form video.
Yeah, our staff do it with their phones. I mean, they do video production, and we have actually on our staff, we have a graphic designer who's an animator, and so he does animations and that sort of thing. So you can absolutely do video without having to have the old school, video camera situation happening.
Yeah, and our students certainly can do video for social media. But, if you're asking them to do something that might be like a public service announcement where, they would need locations and actors and all that sort of thing, they're certainly not up to that level of production or complexity of logistics.
Yeah, there are things where I would still hire a video production company. But on the other hand, for example, for recruiting, I saw a trend of injecting videos into job listings that have people currently doing that job talking about what it's like to do that at this company. And I went out and recorded the interviews. I edited it together. I did all the titles and the transitions. I just used Camtasia. It's, if you can use Word, you can use Camtasia. And, they're fine. Are they up to the level that I would get production quality from a professional? No, clearly not. But, some of these things, as Martin Waxman would say, just have to be good enough.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, they're good with video production and tech and using even like their own phones to do stuff. I think that the script is a gap, like the key messaging, how they're reaching their audience. So I see a lot of good videos, like from a video production standpoint, but I don't see the background of it that I would have liked to see. Like how do you reach your target audience? What are you trying to say? The key messaging.
You know what? We did that with a few of our staff. We do a lot of videos, and we'll get new staff or young graduates out of school, and we'll say to them, "Okay, how'd you like to write a video script today?" And we walk them through the process of how you do that, how you do the key messages, how you make it interesting and engaging, concise, because you've got about 15 seconds these days, if you're doing it for social media. So again, we need to expose young employees. I say young, but I mean new to the field. Right at the beginning. Don't let them, hang out for 2 years before you let them do something like write a script. Model the behavior, show them how to do it. And they've been terrific.
Yeah, I've been actually doing some. Yeah, go ahead, Thea Mary.
I want to ask a follow-up question to Sue, because you're employing people, and I hear a lot. So I fully agree with what you said. The backlash when I give that advice to employers, just, get people engage really early on, they're like, oh, they don't know nothing, so let them just learn first, and then I'm going to engage them. So how do you feel about that? Like, would you respond to someone who says they're not ready, they're very young, they don't know what they're doing? What would you say to that?
Well, you don't learn anything sitting in a cubicle by yourself. I'm sorry. So to say that they're not experienced, they're not going to get it sitting in a cube by themselves. So we always bring our staff along on client meetings, both on Zoom or out of the office or at the client's workspace. We did a website for a client that was a retail site. So we took the staff there to go and look around and experience it like a customer. So you have to do these things because it's a real world out there. You cannot just sit at your desk and expect to, I don't know, learn things by osmosis. And waiting 2 years is too late. You're going to lose good people in the short term because they will go and find a company that will give them those experiences.
And arguably, those of us with 200 years of experience don't know what we're doing.
Well, there you go. There's that.
There's a lot of learning to do both ways.
Well, that gets to what I was going to say. I've been creating animated videos, which, 2 years ago I would not have had the budget to do. Now they're pretty damn close to free. I watched a couple of YouTube videos on how to do it. I paid the ridiculously low monthly fees for some of these services. And for example, we're doing one that is their 3-minute management tips. And I've got a sort of a grizzled, wise old construction manager out in the project trailer or out on the construction project talking about this particular management issue. And then we do cutaways to scenes that sort of convey the idea, tell the story. And he comes back and says, well, here's the 4 things that you need to remember. And so far, they seem to be well received. They take me about a half a day to crank one out, which leads to the question I have.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to do this. How do we keep people engaged in learning new things? I find that a lot of the people who
speak to that.
Yeah, go for it, Sue.
Yeah, I was just going to. So we hired a really talented young guy, fresh out of university, a couple of years ago, and he expressed an interest in learning all about digital media. So we supported him with training courses, with webinars, with research, anything he needed, and now he is making incredible advancements for our clients in the areas where they want to either grow their client base or they want more click-throughs to register for something or what have you. He designed himself for one of our fundraising clients. He came up with an idea that raised through digital media, organic, no paid posts. He did a little video, he did a little pitch, and he raised $30,000 in 10 days for that client. Just an initiative he did on his own.
And going back to your question, Shell, I think it's quite, if we want to future-proof our communication careers, precisely it's to adopt a mindset of continuous learning, because technology will evolve, but curiosity, adaptability, and ethics will always matter. So we need to advise to learn one new tool every few months, seek feedback often, never stop refining your ability to tell stories that inspire action, because the future will see professionals moving away from manual content creation and focusing more on leveraging creativity, contextual awareness, and strategic input. And the winners will be business communicators and agencies that can integrate AI to drive insights, campaign evaluation, and stakeholder engagement, skills less susceptible to automation.
If I may add to that, I'll tell you what I tell my students in class and also even in executive education workshops, which is very risky, but I do tell them. I give the content and I always tell them what I'm telling you now is probably good and valid for the next 2 to 3 years. I don't know what's going to happen next. Maybe in 3 years' time, you come back and I'm going to tell you something different. So I kind of position all the content, especially communication-based, leadership-based, on the fact that there's also so many societal perspectives to take into account. What I'm telling you now might not be the same in 5 years from now. And people need to understand that there's a dynamic nature into what we teach, at least what I do with leadership and leadership communication skills.
It's almost as if Frank Diaz was listening in. I happen to have LinkedIn up on one of the screens here in the office, and he just posted, "Are we hiring internal comms roles for yesterday?" 3 years after ChatGPT launched, 91% of IC internal comms roles are designed as if generative AI didn't exist. Based on an analysis of 100 job postings, he said 90% of roles still demand strong writing skills. While storytelling is vital, we're framing the role around a skill that is rapidly being commoditized by AI scaling. 80% ask for strategic expertise, yet this is rarely defined. Employers want strategy, but they describe tactics, managing channels, drafting updates, and supporting campaigns. And as killer stat, only 9% of roles mention any AI capabilities or skills. I don't know if that's worth a comment, but I thought it was interesting that scrolled by just as we were talking about this.
You know, I will say that my clients on the client side of things, from my perspective, if I think of my three top clients right now, like in the last 6 months, none of them are, they're slow to AI. And so I do think that the hiring organizations are doing right now are not necessarily with that skill set in mind, because the organizations themselves aren't, for various reasons, including firewall related and security related, et cetera. For various reasons, the organizations themselves are hesitant or moving more slowly toward that, including, for Diane, some of the reasons you talked about from an environmental impact perspective. Organizations are getting their own strategies around, their own strategic heads around that part of it. So I do think that's worth considering. Like, it's not like new employees, depending on the industry, are new to the field employees are running to catch up kind of thing. It might be the other way around.
And I think what's also interesting is that AI is rapidly being baked into every kind of platform. So you can't not use AI in a way. If you use Canva, if you use PowerPoint, web browsers, I mean, AI is baked into everything. So I think at a certain point, it's not even going to be relevant to mention it. It would be like saying that you have internet skills, so we're all on the internet, right? It's kind of assumed. So, I think you have that. And then, as others have pointed out, most organizations don't have their heads wrapped around AI yet either. And they still think of it, especially in terms of the kinds of things that communicators do. It's seen as kind of cheating. It's like, well, you're having this write it for you. And do you really know how to do this? Do you really know anything? Or are you just having AI do your job for you?
Yeah, I guess you could always make the TI calculator argument. There was great resistance to having a Texas Instruments calculator to do your math for you. And now it's a given that you'll do that both in school and at work. I want to get Brian's follow-up comment in here. He said there's no significant difference writing a video than there is writing a brochure, than inviting a TV news crew to come to a factory for a business interview. Sue, you have a thought on that?
Yeah, I have to disagree. I mean, the video scripts that we write are very strategic, and they're definitely set to meet the client's needs with whatever that is, whether it's, like I say, it could be sales, it could be fundraising, it could be hiring. And so that is very different than just asking a news crew to come. Of course, videos belong in the owned category of media, so you have the right and the ability to control the message and the distribution of that message onto the channels where you want it to be seen. So yeah, I'm not sure I would agree with you, Brian, on that one. The skill level is very different because you have to think both with words and visuals together at the same time when you're writing a script. So yeah.
I don't remember who it was who mentioned critical thinking earlier, but I did write it down. Several years ago when I was still an independent consultant, I had a client who asked if I could create an online course for his staff on critical thinking because they didn't learn it in school. This was an organization that dealt with a lot of scientific papers, generally papers that were not complementary to the kind of product that this organization, it was an association, professional, a business association, not like IABC, it was around a product type. And they would come up with a response to it that was not based on critical thinking, and he felt it was important for them to learn it. I did develop that training, but I'm wondering, do you find that students have not been taught critical thinking at earlier grade levels? And is it important for students of communication to learn that before they enter the workforce?
Absolutely. It is quite probably the most critical skill that we can encourage and teach and insist on and hold to a standard. And you know, like Theo Mary, I teach in a business school, and so I would say that those qualities are more baked into the business curriculum in general, because of more quantitative analysis processes that come with business, and so ensuring that we are also bringing that same level of rigor and thinking to communications teaching, I think is absolutely essential. And to, that idea, that slow process of questioning everything and coming to our own conclusions and applying our own original human and ethical brains to processes. So for me, critical thinking, a huge element of critical thinking has to do with ethics and integrity as it relates to our work and our businesses.
Let me add on to that. Critical thinking is a core course for our business school. It was not like that. Shout out to my good friend and colleague, Risa Mish, who's amazing at teaching it. But she was the one, she's a lawyer by profession. And she was the one to propose it and make it a core course for the curriculum. But what is interesting is that we do a lot of executive education together, like for senior professionals. And sure enough, they get a leadership development program that combines critical thinking, which Risa does, with communication, which I do. So it's a very important skill. It's often overlooked, but I do feel that there's, I see a trend where the industry has really recognized that this is something that people really want. I'm not sure that it's embedded in undergraduate education, though.
It is difficult. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
I just wanted to mention that I think that if there's one thing that can differentiate us as communicators from just writing or speaking or delivering a message, is the skill of critical thinking, adaptability, data literacy, to know how to interpret analytics, understand human behavior, collaborate across functions, and being able to translate complex ideas into human language, I think will make us invaluable. So I think that really would be the difference that we can make, and in order to be strategic and to give any strategic advice to the CEO and to the executive committee.
I think it goes back to those job descriptions, and expectations. I see that business leaders say they want critical thinking, but then I also see how they treat communication professionals, especially young ones, and they treat them like order takers, and they want them to be responsive and helpful, right? And give them good customer service. when really I think what critical thinking implies is to be able to look at a problem from a very different angle and probably reframe things and show the client or project sponsor, the person requesting your services, to kind of push back or give them a different viewpoint or a different approach to something. And I think in our job descriptions and expectations, we're supposed to be pleasant little order takers who are creative and come up with cute ways, cute words or graphics to kind of make our audience happy. And that's not critical thinking. So I think there's two aspects of it. I think especially for newer employees, early career employees, they're kind of not sure how to employ that critical thinking. They're not sure whether they're just supposed to do what they are asked to do and not raise questions, or whether they are supposed to use their brains.
Yeah, I think it's really on the employers, to be honest. They need to, make sure that they're being open to all of that kind of thinking. I mean, as I said at the beginning, there's wisdom in many voices. And even if you are like 5 minutes out of university, you have life experience and cultural background and, whatever, that can inform something maybe we're working on. So I don't know why I would discount that just because you're young or you're fresh out of school. I mean, that makes no sense. So, I think you've really hit on something, Diane, that I think it's important, but I think the onus is on the employer, to be honest.
Yeah, I've been paying a lot of attention very recently to quantum computing. There are people who are saying that it is going to be more consequential than AI and bigger than AI. I really can't wrap my mind around how this works. The idea of superposition is something that I just can't grasp. But I am looking at the fact that these computers, which should be ready for businesses to buy in the next 3 to 5 years, if what I'm reading is right, will be able to do in 5 minutes what it would take a supercomputer today a couple of trillion years to do. It's going to be remarkable when it comes to things like drug discovery. I wonder how many communicators at the mid-level are paying attention to emerging technologies and massive trend shifts that will prepare them to thrive and be relevant as they move forward. So what do those mid-level or mid-career communicators need to do in order to be relevant, and how do they impart what they learn and what they do to those incoming communicators?
They need to take training from folks like the wonderful people on this panel who are educators with their various universities. So you need to keep up training. I think all of us probably started as I did, which is on a manual typewriter. Big day when we moved up to an electric with an automatic correct button. Everything I know about computing and technology is self-taught. I think we're beyond the ability for people to teach themselves. And so continuous learning. It's just that simple.
I will second that and say that everybody, including us, need to do continuous upskilling, and especially mid-career communication professionals. And also, I think that the way that I conceptualize mid-career communication professionals right now is that they would have some AI fluency and data literacy, but the differentiator for them would be the ability to frame decisions, which goes back to what Diane was saying, to guide leaders and how to navigate complexity. And I will confess that in classes, it's very difficult to teach that, and or we have not been trained as professors to teach navigating ambiguity or how to do strategic thinking. And I think that we need to reinvent ourselves and how we teach to help young people go into the work with more skills into that direction.
So we have. Go ahead.
I was just going to add that I think that part of the upheaval that we're discussing and talking about and bringing into classrooms is right across the spectrum of all careers. So again, we are, most of us with our 200 years of experience are although we are bringing some fresh thinking, we have grown up in a framework that is linear, that talks about a early level career, a mid-level career, and an advanced level career. And I think that's part of the upheaval that's going on right now, is rethinking what those entry points in the career and entry and exit points and contribution points look like. I'm sure for any of us in the classroom, it's a cliche, but I learn as much from my students as I hope they learn from me. And I would jump at the chance, and I tell my clients, I would jump at the chance to employ many of them as business school graduates with strong communication skills, and vice versa. And the same, so I think it comes more to the packaging of and the curiosity, and again, the ethics and integrity that we bring at afresh in the face of new ambiguities at all points in our career that is going to make us valuable, that future proofs us.
Yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes, definitely. I would also recommend, just to build on that, is evolving from tactical execution to strategic leadership. That is, shift your value from producing content to shaping decisions, to influence strategy, advise leaders, and connect communication to business outcomes. To build tech fluency, but not tech obsession. So you don't need to be like an AI engineer, but you don't need to understand how AI, analytics, automation, and digital ecosystems will shape audiences and reputation and workflows. But also to strengthen our unique human advantages, like judgment, empathy, cultural sensitivity, facilitation, storytelling, ethical decision making. I think those characteristics I think could help also a mid-career professional.
We have about 3 minutes left, and I do have a last question, and I'll go around and ask you each to give me a nice terse answer. Letty, you suggested this question, so I'm going to ask you first, and that's, what's one thing you wish you had known earlier about the future of communication?
I think mainly that I had to develop strategic judgment, becoming comfortable with ambiguity, strengthening my storytelling and influence skills, and understanding that trust and not technology is the real currency.
Theo Mary, how about you?
Well, this is relatable to Letty's experience, but I'm a very structured person, and I like preparation, and I like the degrees and the studies and all of that. That's why I have a PhD. But I wish I knew sooner how much adaptability and agility would be a huge skill for the future. I can confess that even now, I know it cognitively. I know how much adaptability means in this world, and how we need to change like in real time. Even like I'm going into classes and I'm getting interactions, I almost have to change every day. And I find that very challenging, very difficult. But I also will tell you that it's a skill for the future: agility, adaptability, and resilience.
Diane, what do you wish you had known?
Boy, so I'm kind of a tech nerd. I was a radio and television major, undergrad. And so I feel comfortable around technology. I've always been playing around with whatever was new. But what I didn't realize, and what a very kind client kind of advised me, was that there are times that when I meet, especially with more senior executives, I need to get my hands off the technology. One very nice client said, Diane, you're great at setting all this stuff up, but you shouldn't ever do that. Bring somebody with you and have them set all this stuff up. So I guess I wish I knew earlier how to be convincing to upper level management and how to get out of the nerd technology creator, content creator mode and get more into the strategic conversations.
Hey, Sue?
Similar to Theo Mary, I wish that I had known when I started my career that change was going to be as rapid as it is today. In the mid 1980s, the organization I was with had a major organizational change program, and my goodness, there was a lot of pearl clutching and swooning and the whole thing around, oh, change, what's that going to mean? And now today it's like, we're going to change. People go, yeah, okay, cool. So I just wish I'd known that I had to get comfortable with it a lot faster and just know that that's the way it is.
And what does Jennifer wish she had known?
How much fun I was going to have. And if you're not having it and you're not around people who are inspiring you and giving you juice, giving you fuel on a regular basis, then look for it somewhere else because we all got to be having some fun.
I couldn't agree more. I want to thank the panel. It's been a terrific discussion. We could probably go on for another hour, but I do need to let everyone know about next month's Circle of Fellows, which will be episode 123, scheduled for 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, December 18th. It will be morning on December 19th for two of our panelists. We have Zora Artis and Adrian Cropley coming to us from Australia, and Bonnie Caver and Mary Hills from here in the U.S., and we're going to be talking about something very related to what we've been talking about today. It's our crystal ball moment, the future of communication, opportunities for our profession in 2026 and beyond. So mark your calendars. That'll be a fun one. It's always fun when Adrian's part of the panel. Again, thank you, everybody. It's been great, and see everybody next time.
Thank you for facilitating, Shell. Thank you for everything. Hey, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.